Clemson Hotline is on the air, a one-hour talk show giving Clemson fans a power hour of Tiger Sports Talk. Clemson Hotline is presented by y'all.com and brought to you by Amtrak. Clemson Hotline is direct from Tiger Country on the network of radio stations across the great state of South Carolina. And a podcast edition of our show is available for download in iTunes. Hello, everyone. Welcome back into the program. Another Sunday night here on the Clemson Hotline, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you for about an hour about your favorite team, the Clemson Tigers. And, oh, boy, talk about being snake bit. Talk about just snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Clemson Tiger basketball falls earlier Sunday, 58-57 to NC State in a game where Clemson controlled the game for much of the ball game. But give NC State credit. When they had to hit a big shot, Scott Wood stepped up and knocked down a big three, and that drops Clemson 3 games under 500, a 3-game losing streak in some ball games that, well, quite frankly, we've all been around before. We've heard this old song and dance before, but in ball games that Clemson really could have won. You know, I understand you're going to say, well, they got smashed at Virginia. I get that. But that's a team Clemson should beat. Anyway, stay with us here. Lots more to get to on the Clemson Hotline on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network.
Mom, I had the best dream.
Well, good morning to you, too.
Okay, so I was a knight. I had a sword, and our house was a castle. There was this angry dragon. It was kind of scary.
Oh, yeah?
But I protected the castle.
Oh, that's my brave little man. I'm glad our castle is safe.
Your home is your castle, and sometimes you need help defending it. The National Association of Realtors supports maintaining homeowner tax incentives because they make home ownership more affordable for more families. Learn more at houselogic.com.
G-Dog General Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about G-Dog here on the Clemson Sports Talk programs and receive an extra 5% off all services through football season. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause sustained weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal imbalance in women over 40, so the extra pounds fall away and the other symptoms simply disappear. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. That's 1-800-510-3558.
Hurry into Sam's Club today for these special offers on Serta mattresses. For a limited time, get a Serta Eurotop Queen mattress set for only $398. Now through February 18th, save even more with special financing for 18 months on any Serta mattress purchase of $279 or more with a Sam's Club consumer credit card. Hurry into Sam's Club today. This special buy is only available while quantities last. See Club for details. Life's better when you're in the club. Sam's Club. Join and save.
Want to hear the sound of hassle-free traveling?
All aboard!
Amtrak takes the hassle out of traveling to over 500 destinations. You can stretch out in a spacious seat, relax in a sleeping car, and enjoy a hot meal in the dining car. And for those who want to kick back and take in the scenery, go right ahead. For everything you get on Amtrak, the one thing you won't get is this. So whether you're going to a family reunion or an away game, make it a whole lot nicer on Amtrak. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com or call 1-800-USA-RAIL.
All aboard!
A winning team requires having great team members. If you're a landowner interested in selling timber or are considering buying or selling land, call the winning team of Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC today. Put the knowledge and skills of professional licensed foresters and realtors to work for your team. To learn more about services offered by Cross Creek Timber and Cross Creek Realty, LLC, visit www.crosscreektimber.com and easily follow the link to real estate or reach them by phone 864-517-3620 or 864-517-3621.
They're playing basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball. We love that basketball.
Welcome back into the Clemson Hotline. I'm your host, Lawton Swan. Thank you for stopping by the program. We've got a number of people with us in the chat room, and I know that we are going head-to-head against the mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead. And it's a bit ironic because right now I think you could say that Clemson's basketball team feels like and is playing a bit like The Walking Dead to some degree, especially the debacle that occurred up in Charlottesville just a few short days ago, 78-41. At one time in that game, Clemson trailed by 40 points. Now, let me tell you, I didn't play in John Paul Jones Arena at any time during my basketball career. However, I did attend a Jeff Jones basketball camp when they played over at University Hall. And we got to play in University Hall in the championship game, and I brought home the trophy, which is a lot more than Clemson was able to bring home against UVA. Probably, I think, when I look back through the annals of Clemson Tiger basketball, as far back as I go, really during the Cliff Ellis era of Clemson Tiger basketball, which may not be too far back for many of you, that game stands out as one of the worst played games I've ever seen. And as I said coming at the introduction of the program, you might say, well, that's the game that of all these three ball games, Boston College, Virginia, and NC State, this three-game losing streak, that game against Virginia was the one game that Clemson didn't have a shot in. But to be honest with you, that's a team Clemson should be able to beat. And for Clemson to travel on the road in that environment and to just lay down was terribly painful to watch. So when they come back and they're playing against NC State on Sunday and they're up 12, playing at home, you get the feeling, I think maybe, that it has a lot to do with being on the road for this team still. That the home comfort environment, the comforting environment, I should say, that Little John Coliseum provides them really shows up, and you could see it in the way some of these guys were playing early on in this ball game. I thought Jordan Roper was fantastic, and we're going to talk about him in the next segment of the show because that young man deserves all the credit in the world. But for Clemson to blow that 12-point lead and for NC State to win the game was more than frustrating. And we're going to hear from Coach Brad Brownell, his post-game comments, and you'll hear in Brad Brownell's voice. I think it is it is a defeated voice is what you hear. And Brad Brownell is going to be criticized by a lot of people because this team hasn't found a way to win ball games. But we can't put this all on him just yet. And I don't think it's fair for those people who want to lump this on Coach Brad Brownell. I think he's as frustrated as anybody. But I did say in that Virginia game that I thought for the second time in his career at Clemson, I completely disagreed with him. The way that team played in the first half of the game, nobody who was a starter and nobody who had been in that game deserved to be on the court any longer. And if that meant we had to go with the backups in that game and be embarrassed in Charlottesville, Virginia, then that's what it had to be. If we had to go with the guys who are walk-ons in Charlottesville, Virginia, that's what it needed to be. The message should have been sent. When you've got 10 points at the half against Virginia and 5 guys have scored 2 points, I think it's fair to say they weren't ready to play, and you can blame the coach, you can blame the players, but at that point, if I'm the head coach, I'm pulling everybody who's had anything to do with this team this year, and I'm putting in the guys who put in the hours and the minutes that you never see at practice to try and make this team better. And I give them an opportunity under the lights on national TV, on the Atlantic Coast Conference Network, or whoever was carrying that game. I give them a shot at playing. But listen to the voice of Coach Brad Brownell. For the first time really in his career at Clemson, I feel like he feels defeated to some degree.
Painful loss. Thought our guys competed really hard today and really played well in certain segments. Turned the ball over too much. Unfortunately, didn't make a late free throw and missed a layup late. We could have sealed it, but NC State had a good shot and won. Just glad to see him, make plays. He's a guy who can score and came in aggressive and played very well in his first start.
How tough is this, especially on a young team, a team that is feels like they're close?
It's hard on everybody. Lead the game for most of the game, and then obviously walk away in the last second loser. It's a tough day.
What did you tell the guys in the huddle before their last possession?
No threes. They're probably going to go to Wood. Try to play on the outside shoulder of him. Be writing his numbers on every catch. If they don't do that, they're probably going to try to hit Leslie at the top of the key and do a drive ISO. If we're not helping, he scores. We're playing overtime.
Coach Jordan had 17 points and then didn't score for the last 15 minutes. Was that just a freshman thing with him letting himself sort of?
I have to watch the film. He passed up a shot late there where we kind of brought him up off of ball screen action at the top. And he needed to make a play, make a shot. And I think he deferred to KJ. And that's just a little bit of inexperience, certainly. He's an aggressive guy, and he had a step. I don't really know why he didn't try to make that play, but and I'm sure they did a better job of guarding him at the end as opposed to the beginning. But yeah, that was part of it.
And I tell you what, Coach Brad Brownell, you can hear it in his voice. Like I said, it just kind of defeated, deflated maybe even. And it had to be frustrating to know that shot was going to be put up by Scott Wood. But Clemson wasn't there. You can ask a lot of questions about it, whether he stepped out and got back in before he maintained possession. But you know what? Big shot was knocked down. Tigers lose. Frustration continues. 58-57, the Wolfpack win it. Stay with us. Rolling along here on the Clemson Hotline. I'm your host, Lawton Swan. Thank you for staying with us. Frustrating loss for the Clemson Tigers, 58-57 against the NC State Wolfpack. The Wolfpack were picked by the Atlantic Coast Conference media members to win the ACC this season. And had Clemson found a way to hold on to a 4-point lead with 14 seconds left in the ball game, they would have been tied with NC State in the conference rankings, which, if you want to think Clemson fans feel bad about where they sit right now, imagine how NC State fans feel with the realization that they were the team that was tabbed to be at the top of this league. And surprisingly, it's been Miami, who's 10-0 in conference play right now, 19-3 overall. They beat North Carolina. They beat them like a drum. I mean, Miami is just – give a lot of credit to that program, because I didn't see this coming by any means. And I know that Barry Larkin's son is on that team, and that makes me feel old. It just does. It just kind of makes me feel old. And that's something I'm going to talk about in the third segment. I just wrote that down. I want to talk a little bit about how old I'm beginning to feel. You know, if you follow me on Twitter, you know I just had a birthday. I'm on the upward climb towards 40 now, and still feeling good. I think I could get out on the court. I think I could still play at a fairly high level. I need to lose a little. I need to drop some lbs. I'm not ashamed to say so, but not so much that I can't get out there and still hoop it up if I need to. It's just the aches and pains that come with getting above, I guess about 33 was when I started to feel a little more pain after each and every ball game. But I've been used to that because I've been following Clemson Tiger basketball for a long time. It was a different kind of pain. It's not a physical pain. It's a mental pain that I'm having to deal with almost every single time that Clemson steps on the court. Whether it's the slow starts, the inability to finish ball games. I was reminded of the movie Ghost as Patrick Swayze is sitting in the room and he's singing Henry VIII. Now, maybe you haven't seen this movie. As he's singing Henry VIII over and over, he has a line. He says, second verse, same as the first. Now, perhaps that's in the song for real, but it's definitely in the movie Ghost. That is Clemson basketball, people. The second verse is the same as the first. And it doesn't matter who we have on this team. Somehow, some way, we squander opportunities. And that's been Clemson Tiger basketball for a long, long time. Tommy in the chat room says, can we talk Clemson Tiger baseball? Good news, Tommy. Got some Clemson Tiger baseball notes right there for you. That's coming up in the second half of the program as well. Tweet to us, hashtag TNTalk. You probably are figuring out hashtags by now. You see them everywhere. That just kind of dials it right into us here. We've got Twitter pulled up. We can see everything you're saying. And if you put hashtag TNTalk, it's like calling in, basically. Give us a call if you'd like, 803-450-0086. And don't forget, that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com, send voicemail. We'd love to hear from you. I've got some good news on the C.J. Spiller front. It is looking like it will be this Wednesday. As you know, though, he's a very busy man. At least it's the offseason, so most likely things will hold up. But it looks like we'll have C.J. with us Wednesday. Following that up next Wednesday with Will Proctor, former Clemson quarterback, and a new scoop for you, Terrell T-Mac McIntyre is going to be with us. Now, what Terrell doesn't realize is I've played basketball with him many times. You see, we arrived on campus the same year, back in 1995, when Rick Barnes brought in 7 freshmen to that ball club. That team, I think many people would argue, as those guys grew, were maybe the greatest collection of talent Clemson's ever had on the court at one time. And some of that, I think, was because of the coaching of Rick Barnes. Rick Barnes didn't take any mess off of anybody. He stuck it to Dean Smith. He told Mike Krzyzewski what he thought. He got technical fouls like crazy. He had a mentality of that he didn't care that it was Clemson University. He wanted to beat the best. And it's the reason he's coaching at Texas. Now, they might not be having the best year this year. But that guy, and when he left, he criticized the school system in the state of South Carolina. And he took a lot of heat for that. But he's a guy who really transformed the mentality of the fan base, the mentality of the students. And we've criticized the students for not showing up to some of these midweek games. Well, that wasn't the case Wednesday afternoon. That was not the case at all. The students were there. The students were rocking and ready for that game, and they wanted to win. But it was not to be. And what's so frustrating about this team is that sitting at 4-4 just a few weeks ago, 500 in conference play, you looked ahead at the schedule and you said, hey, you know what? This could be a team, if they could find a way to win a couple of ball games here, could get a nice cushion above 500. Instead, what happens? Lose, lose, lose. You're 4-7 in Atlantic Coast Conference play. You're 12-10 overall. And you're trying to figure out how to hold things together. If there's one bright spot, though, on this team right now, I think it's probably Jordan Roper. And it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that he scored 17 points in this game against NC State. It has nothing to do with his consistency as of late. He went 3 for 4 in this ballgame from downtown. But what it has to do for me with Jordan Roper is what I see in him as a ball player. Not from the way he shoots, not from the way he can slash and penetrate, but from a competitive standpoint. I put out on Twitter during the game that there's something about Jordan Roper that I really like, the way he bounces up and down the court, just a feel for the game that he has. And then he proceeded to just take off and just play unbelievably well. Now, look, I'll be honest with you. You tune into the show a lot. You know my strengths, my weaknesses here as a host. I mean, I would never come here and say I'm the most knowledgeable expert of anything Clemson. I know a lot about a whole lot, and probably, or I guess I know a little about a whole lot, but a lot about very little. Something like that. I know basketball. I know when guys are feeling it. I know when guys have the confidence to take over a game. This kid is a freshman. He has that confidence. And I can spot guys, too, who don't want the ball in crunch time. Guys who back down. Guys whose face tell the whole story of worry and reservation. You don't see that from Jordan Roper. And I know Coach Brownell mentioned the fact that Roper did pass up on a shot opportunity late. And that probably did have to do with the fact that he is a freshman. But this kid wants to win as much as anybody. And I'm proud to have him on our team. And I think that if you want to look at Brad Brownell and what he's building, you look no further than the player in Jordan Roper and what Brownell has brought into this ball club. Because don't forget, the two seniors, they weren't Brad Brownell's choices. Brownell didn't bring in Booker. Brownell didn't bring in Milton Jennings. I'm not saying that those two guys are bad for this team. I think Booker is a great leader. I think Jennings has his moments, but Jennings has not gotten it together throughout his career. And I think he's probably the most criticized and the player at Clemson who's had the most venom spread their way because of the accolades he had coming out of high school. But I think we all realize now that those accolades were not justified. But I do want to play some of Jordan Roper's comments after the NC State game because I want you to hear just how poised this young man is, how measured he is with his thoughts, and the fact that this guy, as a freshman, is really starting to develop into a player that you can count on as a Clemson Tiger fan.
This season, and I'm sure that this one hurts maybe more than the rest.
Yeah, I mean, each loss hurts, whether it's close or whether it's like the one in Virginia. But, I mean, we just have to learn from it and move forward.
Rope, I'm sure you don't really want to admit it, but you played pretty well tonight yourself.
Little trouble there with Jordan Roper's audio, so we'll try and get back to that momentarily. I'm not sure what happened, but you could already hear it there in just the tone of his voice. I mean, he's a kid who's really understanding of the situation and exactly what he's called for to do by this team. I think he understands right now that there aren't a lot of guys that Coach Brownell feels like he can trust. There aren't a lot of guys that Coach Brownell feels like can be counted on in crunch time in the clutch. And he's starting to develop into that player. And I think that young backcourt with Roper and Filer, that could be something nice. And I'm not saying that Rod Hall can't be involved in some way, shape, or form. But if you look at the plus-minus of Rod Hall over the past couple of ball games, it hasn't been good at all. I think some to the degree of minus 56. Ew, that's ugly. When we come back, we're going to see what we can get queued up with Jordan Roper's audio, and then we'll let you hear from him, and then we'll move into some baseball talk, etc. But thank you for being here with us on the Clemson Hotline. Stay with us through the break.
Sneak downtown with my fake ID and watch Doug McCormick rock TDs on a Friday night.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency. Do you know the #1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
There's something about looking and feeling classy that everyone enjoys. Check out Edisto Outdoors, an apparel brand inspired by our southern animals and environment. These shirts feature soft-touch prints that will keep you looking your best in all types of weather. Look for Edisto Outdoors, coming soon to many fine retailers across the state, or visit www.edistooutdoors.com. Technical, comfortable, livable.
So you want to stop smoking? Well, here's a free offer for you. Take down this phone number, 1-800-426-6175. When you call, you will get to try the Smoke-Free Complete All-Natural Stop Smoking program absolutely risk-free. This program includes a 28-day supply of the smoke-free capsules, a stop smoking manual, a DVD and CD support program, and a bottle of weight loss capsules. Again, you will get all this free, a $130 value, by simply paying a small shipping and handling fee. Call Smoke-Free at 1-800-426-6175. This is a limited-time offer, so call 1-800-426-6175 today.
Missed that old familiar ping of college baseball? Well, guess what? You don't have to miss a single game of Clemson Tiger baseball, as you can stay at the closest hotel to Doug Kingsmore Stadium, the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. Rooms are available for baseball season with lakeside accommodations, complimentary continental breakfast, bar, Seasons Restaurant by the lake, Joe's Place Bar, and the Walker Golf Course. All are waiting for you right around the corner from the stadium. For reservations, contact General Manager Sharon Franks at sharonf@clemson.edu or call toll-free 1-888-654-9020 and ask to speak to Sharon. It's the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. Go to www.clemsonuniversityin.com.
Remember all the stories growing up as a kid about Refrigerator Perry and just how hard he hit. And my mama told me homecoming games are the best on the banks of those late fall lake cartwheels.
Even in defeat, it's always great to be a Clemson Tiger. But it is certainly frustrating to sit here once again talking about this team allowing somebody off the hook. You know, we jokingly said they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, and it's a fitting statement to make. And Craig in the chat room wants to know, how many basketball games can we lose in the last 30 seconds of this season? Not only that, Craig, but how many games can we start off on the road with like 2 or 4 points by the second television timeout, which comes at the 12-minute mark, or maybe even sometimes the 8-minute mark? For crying out loud, it is ridiculous how bad this team plays on the road. This Thursday, of course, the Tigers will take on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at 7 o'clock on the road. Beware. Beware. You never know. What did Forrest Gump say? You never know what you're going to get. I mean, that it could be hideous. Would you be surprised if Clemson jumped out with a 20-point lead and blew it? No. Would you be surprised if Clemson was down 20 and fought back only to lose by 1? No. That is Clemson basketball. The last time those two teams got together, though, was at the end of January. Clemson won 63-60 in Little John Coliseum. So you know the Yellow Jackets will be looking or have the mindset of getting back even against your Clemson Tigers. And finally, when it all comes down to it, Scott Wood's 3 wouldn't have meant anything had we knocked down key free throws at the end of the game. Most importantly, the front end of the 1-and-1 by Milton Jennings, as NC State had cut the game to 2 The ball was inbound to Jennings. Milton, who had scored a grand total of 3 points. He did have 8 rebounds, though 4 fouls in this game. Kind of nonchalantly went to the free throw line, I thought. You could say maybe I'm being a little bit unfair. He just looked like he felt like he was going to make that shot no matter what. He didn't have the focus that you need in that situation. And if it were me, I would have given the ball to Jordan Roper if possible, even though he's a freshman. Twitter names are kind of hard to read. It looks like Sumped Wards 53 tweeted to me, it's not like we have a lot of pieces. Who did I want in the game at that time? I think we had the right guys in the game at that time. But I think that on that inbound play, you can't give the ball to Milton Jennings. Not necessarily because you don't think he can make it, and even the fact that he's one of the top free throw shooters on this team. If I'm Rod Hall inbounding that ball, and if I'm the coaching staff, I got to say, look, I don't even want to put Milton in the situation to get the ball. He hasn't proven throughout his career to be mentally strong enough and mentally capable enough at that point in the game to step to the line and make a big shot. Not one time in his career can anybody tell me that Milton Jennings has made a big shot. You can think about it a whole lot, but you won't come up with one. They just haven't happened. They haven't been there. And key free throws, when it's just him not in rhythm, stepping to the line, got to get his breathing right. He's thinking about not fouling. I mean, he's telling guys don't foul. He's talking to the players. He's not focused on what needed to get done, and that was making that free throw. I mean, that was such an important aspect of this game. And for Milton, because of who he is, he's going to be chastised for it. He's going to be criticized for it. 3 points in the game. I asked if there's ever been another guy, and the only other name two names came up on TigerNet when I asked the question. One of which I knew, that was David Potter. Of course, David Potter, it hasn't been that long since David Potter played for Clemson. The other name, though, I'm really not as familiar with. Some of you fans may know him. I don't recall. Somebody did say Chris Hobbs. Chris is a great guy, but somebody said Clark Bynum. Clark Bynum is the only other person they've ever heard of or felt like got as much criticism as Milton Jennings did during his career at Clemson, or has during his career at Clemson. And Milton is, he's earned a reputation. He's earned a reputation, and to not be able to step to the line there and knock down those critical free throws, put NC State in the situation to win the game. You hit the front end of that 1-and-1, that shot only ties it. You hit the second one, it's game over. You can put the women and children to bed. Sadly, though, it wasn't the case. But the youthful exuberance of Jordan Roper, I think, is tells the tale of the direction the program's headed. I had Roper queued up earlier. We had some audio issues. I want to play that for you real quick, though, some of his post-game comments after the loss to NC State.
I really want to admit it, but you played pretty well tonight yourself. Yeah. You feel pretty good about how you played? Yeah, I played pretty well. But, I always want to come out with a win, whether I play well or not.
What's the mindset of this team right now, just with, these sort of really tough losses starting to kind of mount up?
We just have to get better as a unit. We have to cut down on little mistakes and learn from our own mistakes and just move forward. We're a young team, so we got to keep learning, and we got to keep playing because we definitely want to send out these guys. Milton Book with a great year. So. Was this one of the cases where you just tip your cap? A guy hits a big shot like that, you just kind of tip your cap and just say, he stepped up when he had to. Yeah, he definitely hit a big shot. He's a great shooter. You can't leave him. You can't let him get any space. But we definitely had several mistakes in the game that led to them being able to keep it that close.
I imagine in the huddle there, I'm sure Coach's instructions were let anybody shoot it but that guy.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it says. But I'm not sure how he got loose. And that's part of the game. He got loose. He hit a great shot.
When did you learn you were going to make the start, and what did that mean to you?
I really didn't know. He switched it up the lineup a lot in practice, and I I ended up being on the orange team. That's usually the starters, and he just kept it that way throughout the week. But, I mean, I never thought anything of it until, like, we went through walkthroughs and stuff. So that's when I learned, like, last night.
What does it mean to you, and what do you think that says about how you've been progressing?
It means a lot. I mean, any way I can come and contribute to the team and help us win, I'll do it, whether it's starting or coming off the bench. But to start, I mean, it really shows that I'm moving forward in my career. I guess I'm making better plays and playing smarter out there.
What was better for you, the 17 points or the 3 steals?
I guess the 3 steals.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about those 3 steals because they're such key plays for him in getting himself worked into the ball game. His anticipation, the ability to read the defense, the offensive player with stellar defense and take the ball end to end and finish strong, I think is very important, and you can see his development. Early on in the season, we spotted a couple of things in these true freshmen in Jordan Roper and Adonis Filer, and both of those guys have continued to improve. I will say, though, over the season, it's been Roper who's really improved the most out of those 2 guys, and somebody that I'm really looking forward to down the road. He's an undersized kid, though, and that's not going to change. I don't think he's going to be one of these guys who sprouts up any taller now that he's at the collegiate level. Every so often you might have a guy that gains another 2 or 3 inches. It would be nice if he would, because I think he would be a good in-between type player for Clemson in that case. But right now he's kind of locked in positionally to the shooting guard spot, and he's a little small. It would be nice, though, if he could get a little bit bigger and maybe play to the point of being a shooting guard / small forward if necessary. And speaking of small forwards, KJ McDaniels, KJ McDoes everything, KJ McBlocks a lot, whatever you want to call him. KJ is just sick. The kid plays above the rim as well as any player, not only in the Atlantic Coast Conference this season, but in the Atlantic Coast Conference in a long time. He continues to impress me with his play. It's smart. It's heady. He steps out for big threes. That kid's game is getting better and better, too. I'm looking forward to next season with those 2 guys on the court together. We'll be back. Final segment of Clemson Hotline. Woo, it goes fast, doesn't it? Right after this. Welcome back into the Clemson Hotline. Little 45 King, better known as the Ed Lover dance. I figure the Grammys are on. I can play that old tune for you. Glad to have you with us here on Clemson Hotline. Don't forget, Wednesday night, TigerNet Talk, live 9 p.m. on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Our guest will be C.J. Spiller. If things fall through, if he can't be with us, we'll send the tweet out. But right now, that's the plan. Next week, following that, we'll follow that up with Will Proctor as well. And then at some point in the very near future, Terrell McIntyre, Boogie, T-Mac, whatever you want to call him, he'll be with us. Talk about undersized guards, left-handed guys like Jordan Roper, who got the job done at Clemson. Man, could Boogie light it up? Could that guy, could he stroke the three or what? For a small guy. And the other thing about Boogie was, and I said I played with him a couple of times, I have, and he would go up, and he wouldn't come down. He was like Spud Webb. He defied gravity. He could probably, we wouldn't see the circus, but he could be like a circus act. Just, here's the guy that defies gravity. Watch him. He's 5'7". He can slam a basketball. He's pretty slick. Clemson Tiger baseball, I know a lot of people are excited about that, kicking off this weekend against William and Mary. The Tigers, though, a very young, youthful team this year. And for many people, I think when you look up and down the roster, there are some question marks throughout, no doubt about that. And the recent struggles defensively have led a lot of people to have some concerns about this team this year. Will you see the improvement defensively that you need? I mean, in this new era of college baseball, which everybody's still adjusting to, with these new bats, the fact that Clemson hasn't really gone out and brought in, and I think it's because of the changing style of play. Jack Leggett's always favored small ball, but he's had some big bats in the lineup throughout his tenure at Clemson. And this could be one of the better freshman classes that Clemson's had in a long time when you look at all aspects, on the field, off the field, the continuity between the players, the work ethic, everything that they're bringing to the table as they prepare for this season points upward, makes you feel good about the program. But Clemson doesn't have that traditional big bat that you'd seen for so many years when the aluminum bats were just so electric, and you could have a guy who could blast 20 home runs in a season. It's almost been a shift to small ball because of the dead bat. I don't particularly like it. I mean, I've never been a huge fan of baseball. Small ball is nice in the playoffs in the major leagues when you know you're trying to eke out a one-run game. But when you've got to go through 40-some-odd games and deal with it being the style of game that you play. But this is a team this year that has a lot of speed on the base path. They should be able to steal, play some bunt-and-run opportunities. I hope that there'll be an aggressive nature at the plate. Some young pitching that could do well. You know, there's so much to this team right now. Small ball, though, execution is my key to the season. I mean, we can look at the fact that there are a number of good left-handed pitchers on this staff and be thankful for that, because that's a big advantage, typically speaking, in college baseball. You're going to have to watch the pitch count, though, on a kid like Matthew Crownover. He's coming off of Tommy John surgery, and he's got some terrific stuff. But early on in the season, how limited will he be? That's a big question for me. You know, and I asked about DJ Reader when I had an opportunity to talk to some folks in and around the baseball program, and DJ's a kid who, you know him from the football program. Unbelievable kid, though, 6'3", 335 pounds of baseball behemoth. I say put him on third base anytime you need to score a run and just steal him. And if somebody gets in the way, just have him flatten him. Who needs speed on the base when you've got a truck on the base? You don't need speed on the base. Put him in if there's a man on third, and just let him crush who's ever the catcher for the opposing team. But he's a kid that's a lot of fun to be around. I think he's kind of built into and bought into this mindset of this young freshman class that's coming in. And, you know, 16 freshmen on this team, and most likely 2 or 3 of those guys are going to be starting. You're going to have your ups and downs once again. Jack Leggett, I think he realizes that fact. Scott Firth is excellent on the mound. Lots of movement. So, you kind of come in and you think about this team and you look at the past seasons and you realize that some of the expectations, some of the problems, some of the pain that I think this team has had to endure due to criticism by the fan base comes from what happened in Columbia, South Carolina just a couple of short seasons ago with back-to-back national championships. This team will not be one of the better teams Clemson has put on the field in the past 10 years. I really don't get that feeling right now. But what could change that could be those things, those intangibles, those things that are hard to measure. The heart, the determination, how these guys play together. It's not that there's a lack of talent, but the talent level from 10 years ago, I personally think is down. But you've always got to have consistency across the board. And that might be where this team excels more than any others. But I'm going to hold to small ball execution as being the big factor. And the good news is for this team, they have a lot of speed, lots of speed. And that might play very well for them late in the season in some of those tight ball games as they continue to mature. And once some of these freshmen become more like sophomores, at that point, you could see maybe this team start to point in the right direction, maybe start to peak a little bit. But it's a long season, lots of spitting and scratching and chewing and sunflower seeds, the Bat Girls, all of that. Doug Kingsmore Stadium, one of the finest stadiums in the Atlantic Coast Conference in all of college baseball, really. A much improved stadium. We talk about the facilities for football. Doug Kingsmore has really taken it to the next level. The only issue I've ever had is that it's not beautiful Tiger Field anymore. I hate that fact. There was something to be said about playing at beautiful Tiger Field. And now we say the game's at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. NC State's picked to win the conference this season. I definitely think Clemson finishes in the upper half. Maybe fourth or fifth, I think, would be a satisfactory finish at this point. Anything better is just gravy. Stay with us.
Hurry into Sam's Club today for these special offers on Serta mattresses. For a limited time, get a Serta Eurotop Queen mattress set for only $398. Now through February 18th, save even more with special financing for 18 months on any Serta mattress purchase of $279 or more with a Sam's Club consumer credit card. Hurry into Sam's Club today. This special buy is only available while quantities last. See Club for details. Life's better when you're in the club. Sam's Club. Join and save.
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote, 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that.
Want to hear the sound of hassle-free traveling?
All aboard!
Amtrak takes the hassle out of traveling to over 500 destinations. You can stretch out in a spacious seat, relax in a sleeping car, and enjoy a hot meal in the dining car. And for those who want to kick back and take in the scenery, go right ahead. For everything you get on Amtrak, the one thing you won't get is this. So whether you're going to a family reunion or an away game, make it a whole lot nicer on Amtrak. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com or call 1-800-USA-RAIL.
All aboard!
Mom, I had the best dream.
Well, good morning to you, too.
Okay, so I was a knight. I had a sword, and our house was a castle. There was this angry dragon. It was kind of scary.
Oh, yeah?
But I protected the castle.
Oh, that's my brave little man. I'm glad our castle is safe.
Your home is your castle, and sometimes you need help defending it. The National Association of Realtors supports maintaining homeowner tax incentives because they make home ownership more affordable for more families. Learn more at houselogic.com.
Ladies, are any of these symptoms familiar? Weight gain, hot flashes, rapid heartbeat, night sweats? How about fatigue, nausea, low energy? Or what about sleeplessness, low libido, and fat storage, especially around the belly area? If you're a woman over 40 experiencing any of these symptoms, you probably have hormonal imbalance. And until you balance your hormones, it'll be practically impossible to get rid of these problems. But you're in luck because Amberen is the all-natural formula clinically shown to cause sustained weight loss in women over 40 with no big change in lifestyle. Amberen restores hormonal imbalance in women over 40, so the extra pounds fall away and the other symptoms simply disappear. To receive a complimentary risk-free trial with a free 30-day supply, just be one of the first 50 callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. Free supplies are limited, so be one of the first callers right now at 1-800-510-3558. That's 1-800-510-3558.
The guys in the chat room doing a fantastic job of keeping me on my toes as always, and many of them agree that, yes, speed is going to be a strength of this team. The stolen base could be key. And ultimately, the execution, setting down those good bunts to move guys across, push people over to second base, that's what this collegiate baseball has sadly turned into to some degree. I don't remember the number. I probably should. But once they changed the bat out in Omaha in the stadium, I want to say, and I know there's a new stadium out there, I want to say there were only maybe 2 home runs hit in the College World Series last season. Thank you, Matthew. Yes, I put on an extra coat of shine on the top of my dome, if you will. He says my head is extra shiny tonight. That's just because all the smarts are just pouring out. It's just oozing out, you know. Final segment here on the program. Thank you so much for being with us. Clemson81@gmail.com. We're at Clemson Sports on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you, and you can call us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 803-450-0086. That's how you get in touch with us. Please call us. We'd love to hear from you. You know, if Clemson loses on the road to Georgia Tech and you're angry, call us. I want to get some of those angry calls on the program. That's what I'm looking for. Now, I told you earlier that it is was my birthday recently, just over the weekend. Great time with the family. But I started to feel old when I saw famous college athletes whose sons were signing to play college football. For example, Ray Lewis's son, Ray Lewis Jr., the third, signed to play at Miami. Kelvin Taylor, Fred Taylor's son, is a running back. He signed to play at Florida on National Signing Day. KJ Malone, you got it, offensive guard. Who's his dad? Carl, signed with LSU. And Corey Robinson, who's a wide receiver, his dad, a little taller than Corey, David Robinson. Corey signed with Notre Dame. And finally, the one that really made me feel super old was Deion Sanders Jr. signing with SMU. He's a cornerback, just like his dad. I mean, I remember going to the Punt Rooski game and seeing Deion Sanders return the punt for Florida State, and he became really one of my favorite players after that. And you know, part of me has always been somebody who, when I see somebody that's good, I recognize their talent. You don't have to like him with how much talking he did, but I followed his career closely because I just really liked him after that game, the way he played. But what it really got me thinking was all these Shaqs that are out there. Shaq Lawson, Shaq Rowland, and the future. Because that makes me feel old, because I remember when Shaq was the only Shaq I knew. Are we headed towards a team full of LeBrons and Rayjons? I don't know, but it certainly makes you feel old when it starts to happen. You know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was pretty good, but nobody named their kid Kareem after that, and there haven't been a whole lot of Irvings or Magics out there. But will LeBrons and Rayjons become the new name or the new fad in our country like Shaq has? We'll see. Anyway, that's all the time they give me. I'd love to have more. I got to go, though. Thank you so much for being here with us once again on the Clemson Hotline. I'm your host, Lawton Swan, signing off. And until next time, as always, y'all take care now, and go Tigers!